Anderson?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Great. Have a nice day.
Hello?
Yoo Hoo! Hi, family!
Yoo Hoo, Mr. Goldberg!
Can you hear me now? Good.
Would you like to come in for a nightcap?
If you're referring to the beverage, you know I don't drink.
I have Yoo Hoo.
It's hard to say no to Yoo Hoo. The name literally beckons.
Excuse me, just give us the phone.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, but thank you.
You want to call somebody?
Yoo Hoo, Mr. Goldberg!
Can you hear me now? Good.
Here, get some change out of here. Call everybody you know.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Who is this?
Who are you trying to reach?
What number is this?
What number are you trying to reach?
Hello? 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 I'll have to call you back.
Can you hear me now? Good.
E.T. Home phone.
Yoo Hoo, Dora!
Hi, Sammy.
Hello, Ghostbusters. Yes, of course they're serious.
Welcome to our Interpoint Faith community on this chilly end of summer morning. We actually gave our pastor, Nancy Lafferty, a very well-deserved week off. But today we have special guest speaker, Reverend Dr. Linda McCoy. She'll be up in a little bit. Yeah, this little church on the prairie has been a great location for us during these crazy COVID times, and we're hoping for some more beautiful fall weather for many more weeks. Now, next week the service will be virtual, so watch the Entry Point Facebook page or YouTube channel for that. And then in 2 weeks, we will be right back here with another great service with Nancy and the band. So today we're talking about our calling in life, and that can sound a bit intimidating, but it's really about living the life that we're meant to live, using the gifts and abilities that we all have, and making this world a better place. Let's watch our next video.
At the age of 26, Ludwig van Beethoven went deaf, ending his career as a successful concert pianist. But determined not to let a little thing like his hearing end his music career, my pal Ludwig became a composer. Turned out the new gig suited him. It's like that old saying, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Take my dad. When my little brother Teddy was born, he quit his band to get a real job, but then he fell in love with teaching. Now he spends his days in the mosh pit at his high school English class. Or my mom, a riot girl who found her calling as a part-time travel agent and a full-time supermom. These days, she only moshes with Teddy.
Scooch over, dude.
And then there's me. I thought I knew where I was going. I thought I had it all mapped out. Turns out, I had no idea.
Eyes are gonna drown in your eyeglass. Your mind is skipping stones over your past. I know better than to ask you why, love. When you begin to believe your own lies, they'll keep swinging on as you keep fighting, till you ruin a perfectly good night, my love. My love, you're not listening. My love, you're not listening. My love, try listening for the voice that's whispering to you, my love. Those tears are 10 years old. That script has long been sold. That story's sick of being told, my love. They're always rolling in your mind. Don't waste another life, my love. My love, you're not listening. My love, you're not listening.
creator of the universe, thank you for the blessing of life, for free will we are given, the opportunities that each one of us has to share our gifts and abilities. Our lives are purposeful. Each one of us is fulfilling a necessary role. The longings that tug at us push us to realize our full potential. Courage and strength, ability and resourcefulness are never lacking when we follow your guidance within and trust in its direction. All the necessary wisdom for succeeding at any task, completing any goal, charting any desire is as close as our attention to you, God. We will pay heed to our desires today. We will continue to pray for wisdom to fulfill them. All doors will open. Our steps will be guided. When we all come together, lifting each other up, encouraging one another to live our best lives, we play a role in making the world a better place. Thanks, God. We are listening. Rest in peace, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and thank you for showing us all what a true calling looks like. Your courage to fight for things that you care about has definitely changed the world for the better. You inspire us. Amen.
How are you? First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come talk to you on Career Day. Now, I am not Mr. Carl Peterson, and I don't have a career per se. I guess you could say my career is living and loving, and I do that to the utmost. Is she coming? Keep going? Okay. I see all you fresh-faced kidlets sitting there in your neat little rows, and you're all just pods waiting for your instructions. Now, some of you are going to get zapped right away and be 15-year-old prodigies, little midget Olympic gymnasts with their pictures on cereal boxes. Some of you will go on to college and you'll find your rhythm there, and then go chase down the titans of industry, or maybe straighten out our problems at the UN. But some of you, and this is the group that no one ever comes into Career Day and addresses, and it's criminal. Some of you are just gonna float along, eating spicy foods, humming music into your 30s, well into your 30s, languishing. This group of pods is gonna do a lot of languishing, and you're gonna take some heat for it. Sadly, you will. Europe's a little easier. I seem to understand a little better. So South America. I went to Argentina one time, and everyone just seemed to be sitting around, and it was beautiful. But that's okay. You stay loose, stay liquid. You laugh a lot, but be ready. That's what Dupree's doing with his life's little pod, staying nimble until I get the call from the mothership. Ma raison d'etat. Then I fight. Then you'll see Dupree coming in here throwing 7 different kinds of smoke. That's fine. The pods that were supposed to hear this did. It'll kick in when it needs to.
Good morning. Good morning. It's good to see you all today. What a gorgeous day. Thanks for weathering the chilliness to be here. It's just good to see you all. A number of years ago now, the St. Louis clergy team went on a retreat to northern Michigan. This was something we used to do every year. It was a time when we would reflect on what had happened the year before, how we were individually and how the congregation was faring, and then we would look ahead to see what came next and what we needed to prepare ourselves for, both individually as pastors and as members of this larger congregation and part of that. Well, after a particularly intense and difficult day, we decided we needed a break and we needed a change of scenery. So we went up north to the little town of Northport on Grand Traverse Bay. And we were just at the beginning of where the docking area was for the various boats that came in, when I heard a call I'd heard before. I heard someone going, "Yoo Hoo, oh Yoo Hoo," and I knew immediately who it was. It was a longtime friend who had just sailed in there with her husband to spend the night. And she saw us and she called out to us. And fortunately we heard and responded, so we were able to spend some time together. Well, that's what I want to think about this morning. Not about a friend yoo-hooing us, although that's always nice and a wonderful thing, but about God yoo-hooing us, God calling us. Does that happen to all of us? How do we know? What do we do with that sense of call? What I'm really talking about is finding our life's vocation. And by that I don't mean a job or a profession or a career. I'm talking about why we're here, what we're called to do, what we're called to be in life. And that's something that surpasses our everyday routines and jobs. This morning I'm going to be probably a lot more autobiographical than I ever have been. But I'm hoping that a little bit of my story might resonate in some way with some of you. And another part of the reason I've chosen this topic for today is that the mentor who had a lot to do with my discovering my call died about 6 months ago. And he's been very heavy on my heart. Also, part of what I want to share with you today is coming from a book that I was reading when this whole idea came together. It was a book by David Brooks entitled The Second Mountain, The Quest for a Moral Life. Let me share a little bit the premise of that book. Brooks writes that most of us climb a couple of mountains in the course of living our life. The first mountain is the one that most of us climb initially. It's the desire to be successful, to be well thought of, is to be respected and accepted. Brooks then asserts that at some point in life something happens that causes us to rethink climbing that mountain. Maybe there's a failure of some sort, maybe some trauma happens. And we begin to reassess and try to figure out if this is really the way we want to go, if this is the mountain we want to climb. We begin to try to figure out this valley time between the first mountain and the second time. And that may be when we come to desire something that's more significant and more meaningful in our lives. We may search for a cause of some sort that motivates us and moves us to action. Brooks said this: people on the second mountain have made strong commitments to one or all of these four things: a vocation, a spouse and family, a philosophy or faith, a community. I want to focus on the vocation part of that. Vocation, as I said earlier, has to do with our sense of call, what we might refer to as our mission in life. Why are we here? And what are we supposed to be about? What are we supposed to be doing? So I'm going to share a little of my story. As some of you know, I began my work life as a French teacher, and I taught in Bloomington and in Washington Township here for 9+ years. And then suddenly, overnight, and I do mean overnight, our lives changed dramatically. One day I was teaching, and the next day we had our daughter, who's adopted, in our arms, literally within 24 hours and 30 minutes time. Now, we were thrilled to death. That's exactly what we wanted to have happen. But it brought about a huge change for us in our lives. One of the things that changed was that I, as the mother, could not work outside the home until that adoption was final. This was years ago now. I won't tell you how many, but years ago now. And so I was really kind of struggling. I felt like I was at loose ends, not knowing exactly where to go or what to do. Now, I'd always been a part of a church, but not so actively involved in a church. But I discovered that at St. Luke's, there were Bible studies and book studies. And so I joined some of those, and I became part of the women's singing group as well. And that made an important difference for me. I got involved, and more heavily involved. It was, however, one of those pastors, that mentor I mentioned, who became a dear friend, who opened a door, a different direction for me. He asked me to work with him to develop a ministry that might make this growing, vibrant congregation closer and more caring to one another. And he urged me to work with him on that, and I did. I did it part-time as a volunteer and then part-time as an employee for a while. And then he started urging me to go to seminary, saying that I was being called. I had no idea what a call was or how he would know that kind of thing. And furthermore, I didn't know women could do that. This is again in the 80s, and so I didn't know any women who were in seminary. I didn't know any women who were pastors, and I didn't know it could happen. But he kept urging me on. So finally, I tiptoed my way into Christian Theological Seminary. I took one course. The first course was on pastoral care and counseling. And it was exactly what I needed to experience, because that's the kind of thing I was doing at St. Luke's with the ministry I was working with. And I learned a lot, I experienced a lot, I was inspired a lot, and it was just really important. So I decided that I was going to try some more classes. I decided I would carry a full-time load. So I did that. One of the courses I had to take as a part of this full-time load was a study of the Old Testament. I knew nothing about the Old Testament, nothing. My whole experience had been with the New Testament. And the Hebrew scriptures were not ones that I knew really much about at all, except maybe for the book of Genesis. And so I was lost in this class, totally lost. And the time came inevitably, it was college, so you had to take that midterm exam. And I remember making an appointment to go meet with my professor, basically confessing I had no clue what was going on in this class. And he had some suggestions, some ideas, and I studied, I followed those suggestions, I studied and studied and studied. Finally, the day came for the exam, and everybody wrote and wrote and wrote in these blue books. Remember the blue books? And infamous blue books. And so we wrote and wrote and wrote, and then waited. We waited while he graded those exams. Finally, the day came that he had the exams all finished. And he had this habit of taking the blue books and lining them up alphabetically on the floor outside the door of the classroom. And then in class, he would go through all the things he thought we should have gleaned and learned from our discussions, our readings, and our studies and such. Finally, the class was over, and everybody went out to grab their blue book. I was not going to open my blue book with everybody else standing around. And I remember walking as quickly as I could out to my car in the parking lot, the whole time saying, God, if this is a D or an F, I know what you're telling me. So I got to my car, I took a deep breath, I opened the blue book, and there was an A. And I wound up saying something along the lines of, now what am I supposed to do with that? Well, I'll tell you what I did with that. The next day I went into the dean's office and changed my area of focus. I went from the Master's in Pastoral Care and Counseling into the Master of Divinity program, which allowed me then to move toward ordination in the United Methodist Church. Now, I've always had sort of a struggle with the church, the institutional church I did then, I do now. But still, I know I've never regretted that. It was the right thing for me to do. That seminary experience was really valuable for me, in that it was the time when I began to recognize my call. And the only way I know to describe it is that it just fit. It just felt like the right thing to be doing. The same thing is true of this dream I had some 25 years ago about a very different way to be church, a way that was not at all uniform. It was a pretty far-fetched, crazy idea. But yet some people, like some of you, responded to that. And I've always been grateful for that time with the garden. It was a far-fetched idea, but it was a new part of my call. I think most of us have times in our lives when God is calling to us. It's just a matter of our paying attention. It comes in weird ways sometimes. Maybe somebody affirms something we've done or something we've said. Maybe somebody drops a hint or gives a clue that we might want to be thinking a little differently. I believe we all have a calling, one sort or another. It's different for each of us, and it obviously depends on us, our personalities, our interests and abilities, and our willingness to listen and then to give it a try. The teacher, Parker Palmer, put it this way: vocation does not come from willfulness. It comes from listening. I must listen to my life and try to understand what it is truly about, quite apart from what I would like it to be about. That's what I think the Bible passage this morning is talking about. This is from John's Gospel, which is not my favorite gospel at all, but this happens to be one of my favorite verses. It's John chapter 10, verse 10, and it has Jesus saying this, "I have come in order that you might have life in all its fullness." I believe what he was saying is that he's calling us to live a life that is more meaningful, more fulfilling, more fulfilled. And going back to Brooks' book, it's often when we're in that valley between the first mountain and the second mountain that we begin to come in touch with why we're really here and what we're to be about. Well, how do we find our true calling? Brooks suggests that we might consider the answers to questions like these. What is my best life? What do I believe in? Where do I belong? What am I passionate about? I have a hunch that our call may just be embedded in our answers to those questions. One thing is for sure, each of our calls is unique for us. It may be caring for children. It may be caring for the elderly. It may be a passion to live in a world that is kinder and gentler, a world that causes us to treat one another with more love and respect. I can't name what it is for you any more than you can name what it is for me. But each of us has to pay attention to listen and respond. You know, we're at a strange time in our history right now, but I do believe it's a time that's revealing the challenges our world is offering, challenges that may need just what we have to offer. I've seen, and I suspect you have too, those whose calls are beginning to be evident, and they are making a difference in a world that so badly needs more life and love in it. We each have to discover our call for ourselves, but I'm convinced that each one of us is called to do our part to make this world a better place, and that begins right here and right now. We just need to listen and respond. I pray it be so.
Come home, Nakia.
I'm right here.
Stay.
I came to support you and to honor your father, but I can't stay. It's just, I found my calling out there. I've seen too many in need just to turn a blind eye. I can't be happy here knowing that there's people out there who have nothing.
What would you have Wakanda do about it?
Share what we have. We could provide aid and access to technology and refuge to those who need it. Other countries do it, we could do it better.
You are not like these other countries, Nakia. If the world found out what we truly are, what we possess, we could lose our way of life.
Wakanda is strong enough to help others and protect ourselves at the same time.
If you are not so stubborn, you would make a great queen.
I would make a great queen because I am so stubborn. If that's what I wanted.
When you hear a voice no one else can hear, it's clear and loud, ringing in your ear, and you finally know what it's time to do. That's your true calling, calling you. It's your true calling, calling you. When your heart's wide open 'cause your mind's been changed, and the dreams you dream are not the same. There's a gate that's open you can walk right through. That's your true calling, calling you. It's your true calling, calling you. You ask yourself, is this a voice I can trust? You think you can, but you know that you must. You're afraid you'll fall if you let go. think you can, but you know that you must. When your heart's wide open, 'cause your mind's been changed, and the dreams you dream are not the same. There's a gate that's open you can walk right through. That's your true calling, calling you. That's your true calling, calling you. You ask yourself, is this a voice I can trust? You think you can, but you know that you must just trust. There's a gate that's open you can walk right through. That's your true calling, calling you. That's your true calling, calling you. That's your true calling, calling you. It's your true calling, calling you.
Lauren Bacall once said, "Here is a test to find out whether your mission in life is complete. If you're alive, it isn't." That means you and I have time to live the life we're called to live. Life in all its fullness. Yoo hoo! Oh, yoo hoo! God is calling. Will we respond? Have a good Sunday. Should we? Sure. Go Colts!